Okay, so I've got my layer 2, and I'm going to call this, so you need to start renaming every layer. So put a note down for yourself, rename layers as you start. This is going to allow you to keep your stuff organized. So I'm going to call this walls. Okay, all you have to do is double click on it and then type in the word. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see. And there's a bunch of different ways I can do this. Mostly I'm going to use the pen tool because it's easy to draw precise lines. But I'm really going to draw right over the top of my image here. Okay, as long as I'm on the right layer. So I'm going to get this icon, this pointer, right in the corner of that wall and click once, just like I was tracing over the teddy bear or the tree, and just draw my shape. Okay, so it's not perfect just yet, but I can fix that later. And I'm going to come across here and down because I can see the wall comes down this way. Now, there's a bunch of different ways I can do this. And then I'm going to finish my shape. Okay, so there's a wall. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in over here. I'm going to Control plus. Okay, and what I can do to change that shape, this is a new tool that we haven't used yet, is this white selection arrow. It's called the direct selection tool. So write that down. Okay, that's going to allow you to select one individual anchor point and move it. So you see how my line right there doesn't exactly cover that wall. All right, so I'm going to select the direct select tool, and you're going to click once on the anchor point, so you highlight it, and then click and hold again, and you can move just that point. So now it's perfect. Okay, you can do all those fine details at the end if you want to draw the basics of your walls first. All right. And the better that you get these things, so this one you can tell isn't straight. So if I go down here and I take my direct select tool, click on it once, I can move it with the arrows to get it sort of nice straight up and down there. All right. And if you notice, or if you ask yourself a question here, why did I draw over the stairs? It doesn't matter because I'm going to draw all of that stuff over it again later on. Okay, so later on up down on the list here, I'm going to draw the stairs and the windows, and they're going to go right over the top of this one. All right, and you'll see that in a second. So just in terms of the whole project, you can decide how you want to do this, but what I'm going to try to do is use just the stroke color. All right, I'm going to maybe use like a red with no fill. Okay, so that you have just an outline and you can start seeing your shapes. All right, that makes it a little easier to sort of draw. So I'm going to go over here and zoom out. And now this is an interesting wall because you have all these little angles that you could draw. All right, but there's several different ways we can do that. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to pick a random point to start drawing on. You can decide what you want to do. And it's a little tricky. It can be tedious with your mouse here. I'm going to click here. I can use my spacebar to move my screen. Go back up to the top and down to each one of these points. Okay, now depending on how detailed you get with these points, you can zoom way in, okay, and get just this little tiny spot here. All right, and that really kind of increases the detail of your project. Okay, but down this way, and you can draw the wall specifically where the shape is, okay, around that door, or I could come straight across and just draw the door over it later. Okay, if I can get a general idea of the angle of that wall, you can line up the pieces of siding there. And I'll just sort of come down here and draw this whole wall. And you can see where it ends. It's behind those rocks. The driveway goes across. Try to get the same angle if you can. And then maybe up. And over this way. Try to line up the siding again. You need to sort of use those visual reference points because as you're drawing here, the real picture is actually obviously the best one to determine what the picture should look like, right? It's the exact straight lines are on the house. And then obviously this one's a little bit messed up, so I'd probably change the angle of that with that direct select tool. Okay. You can finish the wall. So we go to the top here. We're going to draw this later. So I'll move my screen up to the top, over. You're going to take your time with it. I'm just going to go through it quick here for a second. All right, there's my wall. So if I grab that now and highlight that shape, and I wanted to, I could change the color to something that was close to the house, and I'd have my wall. All right. So then I've got my basic walls, and your little bump out here, that's going to be a layer above. So again, you're going to now go click layer and maybe do what's called bay window. Thank you. So bay window, and you can draw your walls there. All right. And as long as that layer is on top of this walls layer, it's going to display on your screen. Okay. If you might have to mess around with the layers. And what you can do is drag these around. All right. So as you drag, so go ahead and write that down. Make sure you know how that you can drag your layers. All right. And there's two versions if you drag. Okay. So if you mess up and you accidentally draw, say you drew your chimney in your walls layer. So I'm going to just draw something random. I accidentally drew a thing. Okay. And I don't really want that in my walls layer. You can see that it is actually right here. So that's highlighted. So when I click this, it's going to highlight whatever shape that's related to. So that circle will help you find that particular shape. So this little icon over here. All right, so right now this odd little ellipse thing is highlighted. And I can take that, and say I wanted it as part of my bay window, I can drag it into the bay window layer. Okay, so when you highlight the layer, that drags it in. When you go above it, you're going to see a line. And you can't right now because it won't allow me to put it above that. But it highlights the layer, and those are two different versions, highlighting and going above the layer. So you can see either highlight or go above or below a layer, just gets a blue line. All right. I'm going to kind of let you get started with the basics of this. We'll kind of reapproach what we need to do with the windows. There's a few different techniques for the windows. You can draw each individual line, okay? Or you could do, actually, I'll show you one more thing for now. So if I add a layer, I'm going to call it my roof. You're going to use a combination of these things, so I might as well. We can use a rectangle instead of using our pen tool. All right, so I'm going to draw a rectangle about the size of the roof. It's obviously not going to be in the right spot, so I'll fill this in with gray. Okay, and I'm going to use my direct select tool again, and I can create that exact shape. All right, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to use that direct select, click once on the point that I want to move, and then click and hold again, and I can drag that shape out. So I can create these sort of odd-looking parallelograms, I guess we call it. Now this can be a little tricky because you can't see the spot that you're trying to put it in, so you might need to get rid of the fill color. So we can do this. And then you can drag out with your select tool. Okay, that's a good way to get a good precise shape, especially on the little tedious areas that you don't want to use your pen tool on. Okay, so there's my roof. All right. And what it starts to look like, you'll see, you want to double check yourself every once in a while. If I turn off this base layer, I'm going to have the beginning shapes of my house. All right, and this is a really good way to tell if things are parallel and the perpendicular lines are nice and straight. Okay, you can see the little trim pieces that you'll have to draw here. This angle is obviously a little bit off because it's not the same width all the way up. Okay, you can fix that. And you'll draw every little piece. So a hole right here, okay, means that there's nothing there in the picture. So when I go to put my sky in the background eventually, if I were to take a blue rectangle and start a new layer and put a blue rectangle in the background to draw my sky, you'll see the spots. So if I put this on the bottom, which is where it's gonna end up being, and I turn this off, you're gonna see the blue sky behind the house, and you shouldn't. All right, so those are good 2 visual reference points for yourself. Okay, so you got about 25 minutes today. I would take some time to pick your house. Okay, don't rush through it. We got 8-9 days to work on this before break. Okay, pick your house, take some time with it, and we'll go from there.